Anybody who grew up around here in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s has more than likely heard the story of Charlie No Face. He was a guy who used to walk the Koppel and New Galilee road between Koppel and New Galilee in northern part of Beaver County at night. And the interesting thing about him, he was terribly disfigured, and his face was scary. So people would go out there for generations in vehicles to look at this guy. But the problem is nobody ever really knew how he got to be the way he got to be. Well, his face looked like it was melted. He didn't have eyes. His lips were horribly scarred, and he walked that road at night, which was real spooky, very spooky, and it started this big legend that it passed all around western Pennsylvania, and people started calling him Charlie No Face. He was referred to as Charlie No Face here in Beaver County. But outside of Beaver County, places like the Pittsburgh area, West Virginia, and Ohio, they knew him as the Green Man. Charlie No Face was Raymond Robinson. He lived in Big Beaver Bureau his entire life, as far as I can tell, and he lived with family members. And what happened in the summer of 1919, when he was 8 years old, he and several friends were horsing around an old trolley bridge that used to span Wallace Run, which is the dividing line between Beaver Falls and Big Beaver. They saw a bird's nest up on the top of this bridge, and being curious boys, they decided, well, we're going to go look and see what's in that bird's nest. And Ray Robinson happened to be the one who volunteered to climb up there and look in the nest. Well, when he got up there, or on his way up, he came into contact with high voltage on the bridge and was terribly burned. In fact, the newspapers at the time gave him no chance for survival. But he lived miraculously, and in fact, the doctors called it a miracle. And despite his injuries, he lived for a long time after that. And at some point, nobody really knows when, he began walking the Koppel and New Galilee Road at night. A relative that I interviewed told me that he probably wanted to go out to get exercise, for one thing, and secondly, probably to meet people, because the only people he was ever around were his relatives. And so he probably liked to go out and talk to new people that he met along that road. And as he started walking the road, people saw him and they thought it unusual, his appearance. And so they told a friend, and a friend told a friend, and this story spread out all over the place until eventually you had parades of cars going out that road on the weekends. And people that I've interviewed told me that, especially after high school football games in the fall, they'd head off on out to see Charlie. I know that at least parts of 5 decades he walked that road, and people rode out there to meet him. His story spread. People have written things about him. He's been in magazines dedicated to the paranormal. I know a college professor wrote a poem about him. He's the subject of talk on internet chat rooms right now. At least one play has been written about him, or he's been a character in a play. Apparently it was a local person. So this story is just out there. But nobody really knew how he came to be injured the way he was. The sad thing is he lived like this until he was 77 years old. In the later years of his life, at some point he quit walking the road, and I believe it was the late 70s, early 80s. Shortly after that, he went into the what used to be the Beaver Valley Geriatric Center, now Friendship Ridge, nursing home owned by Beaver County, and he died there in 1985. And he's buried in Grandview Cemetery. And ironically, a boy by the name of Robert Littell, who was killed after being burned on the same bridge as Ray Robinson 9 months before Ray Robinson, is buried in the same cemetery, and their graves today overlook the site of the old Wallace Run trolley bridge where they were hurt. If you have any stories or memories you'd like to share about Raymond Robinson, you can post it on our blog that you'll find here on our website, www.timesonline.com.